It looks like we're starting off with Ashley on the screen. I think you were the last one who spoke on my screen. On my screen. Yeah, it's fine. It's okay, but at some point it should make me. So yeah, we're live now. I'm just going to pause on. It does a weird thing when I do it on my computer. I have to pause it on one screen in order for the other screen. I'm not going to explain it all. Just know that we're live and it's all good. So let me go ahead and hold on, Robin. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen at first, and then we'll get back to the other items. And I've got a lot of new people coming in that I'm not as familiar with the names, so hopefully it will all be okay. Hopefully you see on the screen what I see, which is the HDC meeting December. Why does it say December? I don't know. It should have said, I should have changed this. Are you all seeing February 2021? Good, I got a nod. So our guest speaker is Renee Robinson from the Hanover Humane Society, and I'll introduce Renee in just a moment. We also have likely on the call a number of candidates. As we're getting closer to the primary, I've gotten plenty of phone calls of people that want to speak for a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever FaceTime they can get with you guys. So just be patient with, if 10 people show up, please be patient enough to give them time. If 2 people show up, we'll give them time. So it just, however many that we have. I do want to recognize, I know that Rachel Levy's here with our candidacy, and I am not sure if we have, who else we have, but when we get to that portion, I will gladly introduce whomever I see. I do also see one of our fellow council members, John Hodges, on our call. And gosh, I'm trying to see who else. There's so many people on our, Lou from our board of elections. Lou Zari's here. And I know I'm missing people. So my apologies for people that I'm missing. I will try to get to recognizing you as we get into the meeting. So our meeting is always the same. So any of you who are chiming in for the first time and want to come back next week or next month, we meet on the second Saturday at 10 a.m. with the exact same calls, always the same. And with that, I would like for everyone to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you can, please stand and unmute your mic and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to stop share now and get back to our main screen. And so I just want to make people aware that electronic petitions are now officially acceptable for all of our candidates who want to be on the primary ballots. So if you're getting email, if you're getting some type of contact that says, hey, please sign my ballot digitally, it's likely legitimate. They do have that as an option. However, in order to sign digitally, I think you have to put in your last 4 digits of your social. You don't have to do that for a paper copy. So if you sign a paper copy, they just check your signature. But digital copies, the way they verify it, you need your last 4 digits. So just be aware, there's so many candidates, you're likely to get inundated shortly with that. Primary elections are Tuesday, June 8th. Please mark your calendars. A lot of people running for primaries, quite a few lieutenant governors, the governor's race. It looks like the attorney general race has condensed down to about 2 main candidates. There might be a third, and so forth. Also, we have our weekly Take Action Now, which many of you have said you still greatly enjoy. that was really a mission of counteracting Trump's lies. And now it seems that we still need it even more than ever, because even though he's out of office, the damage he's done is still spreading, and we're getting more and more people believing fake media. It's strange, but sure enough, that is something that we need. So please continue to read those weekly actions. Call senators, call congressmen and women. We do have the impeachment coming to the second impeachment coming to a close. I have no idea what will happen Monday and Tuesday, but your phone calls and emails make a difference. So by all means, share with your elected officials where you stand on things. We are accepting donations within our committee. You can mail donations to P.O. Box 22, Ashland 23005. And you can earmark them how you want those donations to go. Things that we're looking for right now are scholarships for graduating seniors, and potentially helping to fund candidates in the future. So things to think about. Our spirit
checkmate out the HDC.
Yes, checkmate out the HDC. But put in the memo how you want it spent. If it's, that makes it simple for us, and that way I know, hey, people want it spent, a certain way. But yes, checkmate out the HDC. P.O. Box 22, Ashland, Virginia 23005. Our spiritware is still open in our team store, and I know it's still different for people, but can you see my shirt? Hopefully. But it is beautiful. We have great designs done by Chance Lee, and so I hope all of you like it, and by all means register. And just so that you know, our meeting usually lasts from 10 to 11. We might go a few minutes over this time, but I'll do my best to end right around 11. And we have our guest speaker, and then followed by our guest speaker, we will allow for any current candidates for office to give an update on their campaign. We will then hear from other committee members. I will then stop recording, and if there's even more questions and people want to stay on after 11, the Zoom will stay open as long as people want to talk. I reserve my entire Saturdays, one day a month, completely for the Democrats. So if you want to stay on for several hours, we'll do it. That's fine. Whatever it takes for us to turn Hanover blue. One day at a time if we need to. So our guest speaker coming in is Renee Robinson with the Habitat for Humanity. Renee left the corporate world in 2019 to launch Tilted, which is a career consulting service for advancing equity and pay for women and people of color. Recently, she served in the Virginia General Assembly developing legislative policy. And currently, Renee is the executive director for the Habitat for Humanity. So with that, I'm giving the floor to Renee. Please unmute and introduce yourself and give us an update on the Habitat for Humanity.
Wonderful. Thank you all for having me this morning. Can I just get a thumbs up that you can hear me okay? Perfect. And I'm going to share my screen just so that you all can see a little bit of information while you're hearing me speak. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to come speak with you all. I just joined Hanover Habitat at the end of the year when the prior executive director retired. You all may or may not know, we are the only housing and repair nonprofit in Hanover County. So I was really excited to be able to step in and help lead this work for the county, and really want to partner with the community. Hopefully you all are familiar with Habitat for Humanity. Our overall vision is we envision a world where everyone has a decent place to live, and that's where we focus our work. That's not just in new construction, but that's in critical repairs, and I'll talk a little bit about what those programs look like. So we really have two main programs. One, home ownership, just to give you guys a lay of the land quickly, and then want to talk about how some of the policy and legislative actions that I think you all could really help advocate for would help us. But on the home ownership side, this is actually a picture of one of our homes. So if you haven't seen a Habitat home lately, you can see that they very much fit in with the aesthetic of houses these days. They're just smaller in scale. Our houses are typically around 1,400 square feet. And I always like to just set an expectation for what are the requirements to be a homeowner with Habitat. For Hanover Habitat, you have to live or work in Hanover County for at least a year. Every family, depending on the number of adults, puts in a minimum of 200 hours of actual on the job site work, and it's an additional 100 hours for every additional adult that's in the home. We are serving individuals, and we're getting individuals into homes who would not otherwise be able to afford that. And in a couple slides, I'll put some of the housing related data for Hanover, and that'll really bring that to life for just looking at what the cost of living and cost of purchasing a home in Hanover County is. It would be quite difficult. We serve families that make, for a family of 4, between 30,000 and just over 60,000 a year. So you can think about sort of the financial limitations for someone who's managing a household of that size with that amount of income. And we then, every homeowner walks away with a mortgage. It's just that mortgage is at a much more reduced rate than what they would be able to get on the market. So our average mortgage is between $650 a month and $900 a month. So we subsidize quite a bit to be able to get folks in their home. And we have a great, we go through financial education with our homeowners. We go through budgeting and sort of anticipating household expenses. And we have a great retention rate, which really just proves that financial independence that is so important to come from owning a home works with our model. You guys might be familiar with the neighborhood that we're building in now. It's Hanover Cove. It's right at the town of Ashland off Hanover Avenue. If you haven't had a chance to ride by and see that, I encourage you. It's in a cool phase of the project now where you'd see a couple houses that are completely done, one house that's under roof that we'll move into in the next month, and then another house that's getting the roof put on now. So you'd get to see a couple different stages. We've completed the first 4, and we're finishing up houses 5 and 6 there. So we're very excited about that. And when we wrap up that project, unfortunately, we've not been able to acquire another large parcel of land, which is our preference, is to be able to build more than one lot. We gain a lot of efficiency when we can have houses that are next door to each other. There's a lot of barriers to being able to do that just with the cost of land and then being able to put in the infrastructure there, but we love to have that opportunity. We will go to some individual lot buildings once we wrap up with it, Hanover Cove. So you guys might see us building our next house on Center Street in Ashland, and then we'll actually be out in Doswell with 2 lots that we've gotten out there. So we build all over. After that, we'll likely be going out to the Montpelier area. So we cover the full geography of the county. The second program that I mentioned is our critical repairs, and this is really all about providing safe homes for folks who are having financial instability. When those unexpected expenses pop up, they're not in a position to be able to necessarily afford those. And what we often see is those issues then linger and actually become magnified, and then you really end up in a safety situation. Our requirements for this program, again, it's for folks who live in Hanover County. We really are prioritizing and focused on repairs that are really going to help address health and safety issues. And then we also partner with the building division of the county for where there might be some building code violations. And often those are related to safety issues that they might be experiencing. And for the repairs, we are really serving low-income families here who, for a family of 4, these are folks who are earning less than $44,000 a year. And these are just a couple pictures of, you can see sort of an unsafe decking situation where that was not stable. So we would not have wanted someone to lean up against that structure. And then just you can see sort of the situation with the door and just heating efficiency and ceiling and issues there. The last of our programs, before I shift gears a little bit, that I just want to make sure everybody's aware of, is we do operate a restore. One of the things I love about the Habitat model is we strive to have that self-sustaining arm of our model where we are taking in donated household items. So please, if you are ever getting rid of anything, a lot of people during COVID have been decluttering and doing projects to their home. I encourage you to donate any items that you're getting rid of to the restore. We sell those then to the public, And every dime that comes out of that comes into funding Hanover Habitat. So it stays in the community and comes straight to the work that we're doing. And that's located right at 301 in Atlee. Long term, I would love and have the vision for us to be able to open a second location in Ashland to just better be able to serve that market. So if you ever know of great space that might be nonprofit affordable, please let me know. So now just to shift the gear, that's sort of what we do. Now to shift to understanding the need. I spoke a little bit about this a few minutes ago, and this really just shows you, you know, when we're selling a house with a mortgage between $650 and $900 a month, how those are individuals who in no way would otherwise be able to live in the county. So these are just housing prices over the last 10 years. So from Jan 2011 to Jan 2021, and you can see in 2011, we were right around 250. Obviously, we were still coming out of the housing bubble. It took another dip sort of in 2012, but thereabouts, it sort of hovered around that 250 limit. And you'll see that end of 2020, we were at 375 as the average sales price for, or excuse me, the median sales price for homes in the county. So you're looking at a 50% increase. And what we know is wages in no way have increased. I think we all wish we'd had wages increase by 50%, right? So I always like to make it real when we talk about who are the folks who can't afford to live in the county if they're the single income. And I use teachers as a great example. To compare to this, the average teacher salary in Hanover in 2010 was $47,000 a year, and in 2020 it was $53,000. So that was an increase of $5,000. And obviously there's a lot that comes into play with that and budgeting and things of that sort. But even when you look at overall median income for the county, that rose from about the mid to upper 70,000 range in 2010 up to 89,000 in 2020. And so I think that was maybe a $12,000 increase. So you just don't see, wages have not in any way sort of kept in line with the pricing increases on the housing side. And so what that means is we are pricing out a lot of individuals who are working families, but are not wealthy and are financially stable and working, but can't afford to live in the county that they've lived in previously and are working. The other myth that I like to always just raise up for folks is, you know, there's been a lot of development and growth in the past 10 years, and certainly we've seen some housing developments. But the thing when we think about our repairs program is the fact is more homes were built in the county before 1970 than have been built in the last 10 years with all of the developments. And so sometimes that's not as present, you know, when you're riding through a 200 home development, that's sort of what you see. But we have a lot of homes that are aging and that have seniors who are aging in place in them that are going to have continued needs for repairs. And obviously we know that older homes have more needs and more risk for expenses to pop up that might not have been planned for. On that seniors piece, just to ground folks on, you know, the needs for housing start to become very different for individuals as they age. And our goal is for people to be able to age in place and for the county to continue to be able to support that. So yeah, I always like to call out, so seniors right now, and that's individual households with individuals who are 65 plus make up about 18% of the county. That grew since from 2010 to 2020, that grew by 36%. So we're at over 13,000 homes with seniors living in them. And what you see on this chart here is a projection based on the data that we have from census and so on and so forth from 2020 to 2040, that's going to grow by another 6,000. So I think, you know, continuing to think about what are our housing solutions for individuals, and in particular when a good chunk of folks are living on Social Security and pretty fixed incomes, where those unexpected expenses create a real barrier. So then just briefly to touch on our impact. So you know sort of what we've done. We've built 70 homes. So we're working on 71 and 72 now, as I mentioned earlier. The repairs program kicked off on a really small scale since 2017. We've done 16 repairs. that is a place where I really want us to be able to grow our program. I think there's a tremendous need there that Hanover Habitat could really partner with the community to be able to meet that need. And then from an environmental perspective, I'm always really proud to see the numbers around what our restore has done and how much we're actually diverting from the landfill with the material that comes through those doors and gets sort of reused, recycled back out to the community. And that's on top of an actual recycling program that we run there as well. And then from a local economy, I always like to highlight that the impact that we're having goes well beyond the individual families that we're serving. When you think about, we are generally always using local skilled labor when we have to bring in subcontractors for specific work. And obviously we're doing this work in the community that we're serving. And so I love seeing sort of the total jobs that we're creating with the work that we are doing and the infusion of dollars into the local economy. So then I'll pivot quickly so I don't run us over time of just what can you do. So a couple things with this group in particular. The Department of Agriculture Rural Development Program is vital to the work that we are doing. They have a 502 and 504 program. 502 is on the home ownership side and 504 is on the critical repairs. They are a tremendous funding source and partner for us. Being able to continue to make sure that those programs get funded is I would always appreciate any advocacy and any of our representatives at the federal level that can, and I'm always happy to meet to share more details, but we would have an incredibly difficult time delivering on our mission if the USDA was not funded. We also really need some staff augmentation in the Rural Development Office. Our representative there now covers 20 counties. So when we're working with them, on average, it takes about a month turnaround. And that's not because those aren't hardworking individuals. It's just they've got more work to be done than is physically possible. So any sort of advocacy that could be done there would be wonderful. Other things that you can do, I say if there's a conversation to be had about Hanover County and housing, please bring me and Hanover Habitat to the table. We are the only housing and repair nonprofit in the county, and certainly there is the direct delivery that we can do of programs and services that we provide. But I also believe that we're accountable to be a convener on that topic. We have partnerships and relationships with other housing nonprofits that are operating in counties right next to us and have wonderful programs. But we also deeply understand the needs of Hanover, so we can sit in that space of being sort of a translator and pulling those folks to the table and helping articulate what the needs are here. So I say I'd rather be brought in and over included versus sort of left out of that conversation. And then if you're interested in donating your time and skills, we've called out some things here. I will say COVID has made life harder for us. We usually have more than 900 volunteers a year. That's how we make our dollars stretch further on construction sites. So I'm very anxious to be able to be back to a world where we aren't quite so limited from a safety perspective there. So in the future, if you're interested in getting out on a job site, we would love to have you, same as volunteers that are in the restore and with the recycling program that I mentioned earlier. One virtual sort of no contact opportunity that we've come up with since COVID is for housewarming gifts. So for the folks that we've moved into homes since last March, we've been able to partner with individuals and organizations who have just given starter kit housewarming kits. So it's like a laundry starter kit. It's a kitchen starter kit. You can imagine when you're moving into your very first home, how many things you need there. So that's been a wonderful opportunity if you're interested. And then ways to support us, use the restore, donate your items there and go shop there. You can get incredible deals and support the community with the shopping that you're doing. I always need eyes out on land that is affordable for us to purchase. As we said earlier, land is incredibly expensive in the county and land that is affordable is gone in a second. So if you have any leads on land that is available, I would always appreciate any partnership there. And then of course, we operate on donations, and so I've listed our website there. In particular, and I'll wrap up, if you are in the construction business or know anyone who's in the construction business, I am always in need of skilled volunteers who want to donate or discount and work out sort of an arrangement there. Their time towards our repairs. The way we stretch our dollars more is when we can have volunteer labor go into the work that we're doing. With repairs in particular, we really find that those are difficult to use sort of off the street volunteers for, because they are often very specific repair needs where we really do need a skilled labor, versus a lot of the opportunities that we have on new construction that are a little bit easier for your run-of-the-mill volunteer. And if there's any contractors who are open to us working with them on leveraging their pricing negotiations, you know, we're building 3 to 6 houses a year. We don't have the scale when it comes to our supply chain to do a ton of negotiating. So if we could leverage relationships where folks just have a greater volume, that would be great. And then any excess materials, or if you're yanking cabinets out or old appliances out of renovation projects, we'd love to have those at the Restore. And lastly, these are just the ways to stay in touch with us, which is the greatest way to follow along on what's happening. We're on Facebook and Instagram. You'll see there we have separate Restore accounts for those too, if you just want to see some of the items that are in the store. And then if you want to sign up for our newsletter, you can do that on our website, and that information is in that bottom right. So tried to talk as quickly as I could. Hope I didn't go over too much time, Daniel, but I'm just so grateful for the opportunity and happy to answer any questions that you all might have.
Thank you, Renee. I greatly appreciate that. We're going to open up the floor for about 10 minutes. So please unmute, ask your question, and I'm sure Renee will be happy to answer.
Renee, I have a question. I'm part of the electoral board. And as part of your housewarming gifts, do you provide information on voter registration, absentee ballot application, or even Hanover Democratic Committee membership?
Lou, you know, we have not done that, but I think that's a great idea. I was actually just talking with a realtor yesterday about what are some things that we should be leaving with new homeowners, even just related to community resources, because in a lot of cases, they're moving to a completely different part of the county than they were in before. And I think especially that voter registration piece and reminding folks, hey, your address is changing. You need to, even if you are already registered, you need to be updating that. So that's a great point. And I think we can definitely do that.
Are the names and addresses of previous Habitat recipients available to voter registration mail? I mean, if we have 70 homes and 16 repairs, that's at least 86 and possibly 160 voters that could be reached. Is that information available?
I'll have to check on what the privacy policy is as far as names and addresses, but I'll take that as an action item for us to loop back with.
Okay, good. I would like that information if it's available.
Sure. And Lou, if you want in the chat, if you want to drop me a direct message with the best way to just loop back with you, either email or phone, that'd be great.
I'll do that through chat. Thank you.
Perfect. And I see a chat from Ken around 50 years of experience in solar tech, which is something that John Sudarth and I have been talking through. So Ken, yeah, I'd love to connect with you on that. Again, if you want to just shoot me a chat message with the best way to get in contact with you. I know I see the website there, so if that's it, that's fine. That would be great.
Yeah, I just noticed that, and I was just starting to put that into you.
Perfect.
I did a fair amount of work with Habitat back in the early 90s, but efforts at energy conservation and passive solar, or all sorts of solar technologies back then, were not as enthusiastically received as I would have hoped. Now, what are we, 30 years later? Hopefully that's changed. So I have a specific question. Before you do renovations, do you do an energy audit using a blower door?
I will tell you, I'm not sure about that specific tactic, but we certainly do look at, because of the weatherization needs an assessment that has to be done. And that's where we also would partner with DHCD, Department of Housing and Community Development. There's typically always an energy element in that specific weatherization program where you have to meet it specifically to address the energy needs.
Okay, well, I have lots of projects, not as much energy as I used to have, as you can probably tell. But I will offer those services. I was a very early advocate and as an energy rater and still listed with the Energy Office.
Wonderful, thank you.
So that would, and one thing I offer more than most energy raters is the experience with solar energy. I was particularly struck, as I often am, by your picture of your sample of your typical house.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful opportunity for a nice sun porch there, and they never get a little bit of glass to close them in and make them warm. And with people getting older, having a nice sunny spot if we ever get sun again.
Hey, Renee,
wonderful. This is a perfect example with an ice storm coming of the benefits of a super insulated house.
Yeah.
We haven't had a good ice storm in Hanover in quite a while. The last one I think was down in King William, New Kent, and it was devastated for a week or two. So hang on, folks.
Hey, Renee, if I remember correctly, Ken actually was installing solar hot water systems on Hanover Habitat homes back in the 90s. Is that correct, Ken?
That's correct. I got a little ticked off by a comment by one of the wonderfully motivated contractors, but he was an older fella too, and he didn't exactly see this advantage of this. And
well, we are.
I'm sorry, I've got my own shack to build, and I rebuilt my house back in 91.
Well, we are working on this is the vision, and we're at the very beginning of trying to make every Habitat home a solar home, and our homes are already Earthcraft certified.
Okay,
so they
great.
are very energy efficient. So maybe some of those seeds you planted 30 years ago actually took root. Renee, you've been a great addition, great hire for Hanover Habitat. And I would just like to say all these progressive values that we have about affordable housing and energy efficiency and all these things that Hanover Democratic Committee stands for and advocates, by working and donating to Hanover Habitat, you're putting all those values to work and into action, and it's local. So I really encourage everyone to contribute in some way. Money's always good. Also, if you have land you want to sell at a market rate, volunteering. But this is a great opportunity to put our democratic values into action. So.
Thanks, John. And I see a couple questions in chat that I'll just answer real quick before I know you guys need to move to your next thing. Question, Penny's point, I totally agree. From Holly Jackson Conrad, I know the availability of land is a consideration, but how's it determined where homes are built? What other criteria is considered? Really, it is where is land available, but also how much is it going to cost before we're even putting footing in the ground for a foundation? The infrastructure cost, depending on where you are, usually the land that's accessible, it's accessible for a reason. It's not desirable for some other reason. So, and they are typically not on water sewer lines. So Holly, that infrastructure cost is one thing that comes into account. And then also that it's going to be a location that's amenable to these families. You know, sometimes if it's a particularly large lot, that's a really hard undertaking for someone who's a first-time home buyer and is not going to have the ability to maintain, 5 acres. But in general, we find that they're also just so excited to have a home that, there's usually some homeowner who is open to different properties if it's a place where we can build a house. Pat had asked, does the restore do repairs or should everything be sellable? for us to put it on the floor in the restore, it needs to work. That recycling program that we have, when we do get donated items that don't work, the recycling crew actually dismantles them and pulls out any metals, because we are able to get money for those and it adds up. So we sort of will do both, but certainly we get the most out of it when it's operating. And then Kathy Lee asked a question, does Hanover County provide financial assistance? We do not get subsidy from the county for the work that we're doing. That is a big priority of mine, and have started to have a lot of introductory conversations with county leadership. I think we have a bigger opportunity to be more closely aligned there, and really bring to life how much money we're spending on infrastructure costs. Even just for a water sewer hookup, that's $13,000 for us every time. And in most cases, we're actually installing septic systems and having to run water lines, which can be quite pricey. And in some cases, I think the value proposition is we're building where no one else is likely going to build. There's not going to be a 4,000 square foot house put on the lots that we're buying. And so I think there's a way for us to work out, it's a symbiotic relationship. We're building a house. There's going to be tax revenue that comes into the county. It's sort of developing an underdeveloped area. So that would certainly be something that I would like for us to be able to make happen. Well, Hanover County is also not an entitlement community, so we don't access currently CDBG community development block grants like Richmond, Henrico, and Chesterfield. All of those dollars have to funnel through the county and then on to agencies. Agencies like mine can't be a direct recipient. So I also think that that's a future opportunity for us to partner with the county on accessing more of those dollars for community development.
Well, I raised the point because I am aware that the county, I think, spent $100,000 to help Wegmans, a $4 billion corporation, with their water and sewer hookup. And it seems to me that it would be good policy for the Board of Supervisors to be supporting affordable housing. So I would imagine if the county is doing water and sewer hookup for Wegmans, they're doing it for other businesses as well. And it may be a partnership that could be developed.
That's great to know. Thank you. Yeah, I'll certainly follow up on that. And then I think Ashley was.
Yeah. I'm curious, and I don't know if this is a privacy issue or not. I know that when I canvassed last year in like the deeply rural areas of Hanover, there were many houses that I would say were pretty much condemned that people were living in. So is that information that Habitat would want, or at that point, I mean, is there even anything to be done?
Yeah, I actually was just meeting with the building department in the county last week, and I will say they've been wonderful partners. They have incredible GIS reporting, and we're sort of reconvening next week to look at, Ashley, some of the information they've gotten on what are the houses that are likely uninhabitable that might still be inhabited. What are the houses that actually probably are in need of repairs but still have folks living there? So
yeah, because like frankly, I'm sorry. Me last year, I know this sounds funny, but like I was afraid to like rat people out because I didn't want the house that they have, however falling apart, to be taken away from them. So I didn't really know how to handle that.
Yeah, what I would like to do long term, and I agree, and certainly the conversations we've had with the building group is not to then go in and enforce, kick people out of their homes because they're not meeting code requirements. But the opportunity we have there is we can use that data to make our case to access more funding, and then we can do intentional canvassing efforts, which is what we've done with some of our programs in the past, to go directly to individuals, but as our organization, not county enforcement.
Okay, so if I come up upon that again, I would give the information directly to you?
Yeah, if you let us know, it helps us when we do get funds. We can do some targeted neighborhood canvassing to reach folks who might not otherwise know that we have that program available. That would be great.
Thank you, Renee. I'm going to chime in just for a moment. It seems like we might want to have you back again in the near future because there's a lot of discussion about this. I am not holding you to this, but if you're open to staying on after 11, I'm sure people will want to talk to you a little more. If you can't, I understand, and that's fine, but it will be unrecorded and people might be more open to their more blunt conversation they want to have, and that's fine too. But I do want to open the floor
I'm happy to hang on.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I want to open up the floor for just a couple of minutes for campaign updates from people that might be representing campaigns. And I know Nicole Hayes is on from the McClellan campaign. So I'm going to start with Nicole, and then I'm going to open up to other campaign updates. Nicole?
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me? I'm not sure if
Yes.
my internet's doing what my internet is doing right now. Okay. Okay. So with the ice and everything, and I live in a rural area, I never really know if people can hear me or not. So I apologize for any delay. Nicole Hayes, for those who've never met me, and I work for the McClellan campaign. I just wanted to come on for 2 quick minutes because I know a lot of you got an email that we were going to do an in-person petition event today in Ashland. And of course, with the weather, we decided it's just not safe to have people out today. So we pulled down our events, but today is also the day that we're launching our online petition program. So I'm going to put in the chat the links to our online petition events. We've got one today, we've got one tomorrow. And we'll actually walk you through the whole process. If you just want to hop on for like 15 minutes, there'll be a staffer there and we'll walk you through and make sure we get it all done. We are also working on rescheduling another day to come into Ashland, their signatures. We'll do it a little of both ways until we get to the get to our magic number and we get everything verified. So we'll be doing a little both until then. I am going to put links in the chat for both the petition, just the regular petition if you just want to hop in and do it yourself, and also for the event this afternoon and tomorrow, in case you want to do it with someone to make sure that you got it right. This is a little different. So we've gone through it many times as staff to make sure that we got it right. It's just a little different than what we're used to. So, but as everything is for the last year or so, we learn how to adapt and we figure it out and we make another plan and we keep on moving. So that is basically the only update I really wanted to give today. We are doing really well with the signatures. And we will also, after this month and we get the senator out of session, we'll be getting ready to schedule legislative update meetings for her. You can reach out to me to handle that, and I'll talk to Dan about that. And then we'll also be doing a lot more events where you can hear from her directly once the session is over with, and hear from her what she has as her vision. There are also several Facebook groups if anyone wants to join one of those. We've got several of them for whatever your interest might be. But McClellan for Governor is our main one that's run by volunteers, and we just send them information so that they keep everyone posted on what's going on. But I'll also put my contact information if you have any questions that I can help you find an answer for. I'll be happy to do that.
Thank you, Nicole. And if, again, I'll extend it to you. If you're able to stay on after 11 and people want to have a more fluid conversation, you're welcome. If you got other things going on, I understand. I do know that Rachel Levy is also running for the 55th. Rachel, do you want to give us a brief update?
Yes, I do. Hello, everyone. I am the candidate so far I just put all my links in the chat for the 55th district, which is 301 West.
Charger thing in there isn't working, so I had to bring it back in here to.
Which is 301 west of 301, almost all of Caroline County, and 3 precincts in Spotsy, It doesn't look like, in terms of redistricting, it looks pretty well like we're going to run on the current lines. So I'm moving forward with that. I'm raising money. I've raised, I'm getting close to 15,000 so far. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all of your support and donations. Thank you notes are coming. I'm trying to raise 45,000 by the end of session to that goes with the 45 days of session, especially because my opponent cannot raise money. So if you are feeling like giving, please do so. I was with 6 other candidates, House of Delegates, Democratic candidates who filed suit to allow for, my campaign did it, to allow for contactless petition signature gathering, and we were victorious. We were successful, and so you will also be getting digital petition forms from me coming up. I was happy to do that. It applies to all of the Democratic candidates, not just to the 7 who filed suit. And I want to keep the people of the 55th District and the Commonwealth of Virginia safe during this pandemic. And I want to ensure equitable access to the democratic process. And I would want that even outside of a pandemic. And my last announcement is I'm thrilled to announce that I have hired a campaign manager, and she is our own Ashley Hall, born and raised in Hanover County. And maybe she just wants to, I'm going to put an announcement out soon when I get off, as soon as I get out of this meeting. But Ashley, if you want to say a word.
Sure. I'm very excited to be Rachel's campaign manager this year, and to run such a wonderful candidate in an area, like she said, that means so much to me, where I was born, and where my family is from, and where I've had the joy of volunteering for this wonderful committee for the last couple of years. So I'm very excited to represent Rachel. We are already talking about putting together voter registration events. So we already have things cooking. I am open to any and all ideas. I want to hear from everybody. So please don't hesitate. It's never too early if something pops in your head to bring it up. If you're interested in volunteering, you can all, again, it's never too early. You can always contact me. I'm going to put my email, which is, I'm going to have a Rachel for Delegate email, but you can also use my personal email, and I'm going to put both in there. If you have the means to donate to Rachel, I highly encourage it. Like she said, this is an important time because her opponent cannot raise money right now. So this would be a great time to donate, and I'm going to put that link again. So thank you very much. And also, I plan on reaching out to people just to say hi and to connect with them so that we can all be a part of this together. So just be on the lookout for my phone call just to say hi.
Thank you. I appreciate that update. We have 2 more, at least that I know of right now. We have Ms. Sams for the 97th, and I believe Delegate Guzman also would like to give us an update. And just to reiterate for those who are just coming in, we're going to let the candidates give us an update. And if you have questions for them, we'll do that after 11 when we've stopped recording and allow people to stay on or go off as they see fit. So with that, Sarah Sams, would you like to give us an update of your campaign and introduce yourself as the candidate?
Yeah, so hi, I'm Sarah Sams. I'm running for the 97th because Scott White makes me mad. The ERA stuff and the voting against water as a human right thing just drove me nuts. I'm aiming to raise about 10,000 by the end of March. That's kind of my goal A, and then kind of move up from there. I've got my Act Blue in the chat. I'm still working on getting a team together for campaign manager and communications and stuff. So if anyone has any experience with that would like to help out, I'm totally open for it, and I'll put my email in the chat for that. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate you putting your name forward and having the courage to run. And
Yeah, thank you.
I've had great conversations with Sarah, and some of you have too. She is definitely highly motivated, a hard worker, and I hope you can support her in any way you can. I'm under a time crunch, so I am kind of like running through candidates. So Delegate Gooseman, I think, has just come on. I want to give the delegate a chance to give us a quick update. And
Sure. Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman. Let me start by thanking Sarah and Rachel for running for office. You know, I know, Rachel, I owe you information back. I have to follow up with you. I apologize because I've been in session, and with this virtual session, it's been kind of hectic. But I just wanted to know you two to know that you have here a friend, and if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. I would love to just give you the insight about these two individuals that you're running against. And as it was mentioned, you know, not very good votes that not represent their constituency. But anyhow, good morning, Hanover Democrats. It is so good to be back this month. I am going to shake up a little bit my remarks, so you are not hearing the same speech, but I'll just do a quick introduction for those who didn't get to hear me last month. I am Elizabeth Guzman, and I represent the 31st District in the House of Delegates, which includes parts of Prince William and Fauquier counties. I'm a social worker, a public administrator, a union sister, a mother to 4 children, an immigrant, and a fighter for working people and progressive values. And I'm especially excited to talk to you today about my historic campaign to become the first woman of color to ever be your Lieutenant Governor of Virginia. And today is my birthday, so I'm very excited to be here with you today. A little bit about my personal story. I came to this country as a young single mother with $300 in my pocket and a little girl to get college education. And once I got here, I earned 2 master's degrees and built a 17-year career in local government and human services in Virginia. And I'm running for Lieutenant Governor because I see the position as a successful legislator, someone who has delivered on the promises they have made. In my first 3 years, I passed 19 bills and championed many more in the area of healthcare, education, the environment, workers' rights, criminal justice reform, and more. I'm currently serving as the Vice Chair of Education Committee, and I've been named Legislator of the Year by the Virginia Education Association, which represents more than 40,000 teachers and support staff, for my work to give our teachers a voice at the table through collective bargaining rights. I have been named Legislative Leader by the League of Conservation Voters for fighting for our environment, including passing a resolution out of the House declaring a climate emergency. And I'm running because the Senate needs more progressive voices, more people who are willing to fight for all Virginians. And I know how frustrating it is when you feel when your state and local representatives do not represent you. And I know you feel that about Rob Whitman, for example, and Buddy Fowler. And that is why I ran for office, because the Republican I defeated did not represent me. And that is why I have taken up environmental justice fights outside of my districts, because I believe that Democrats fought hard to win the majority, and we should use it to fight for all Virginians, including Black and brown communities. And I believe I just wasn't elected the interests of my districts, by the interests of rural voters, as one of the few Democrats that represent rural Virginia, who are not being heard by their elected officials. It is our responsibility to fight for our democratic values like clean air, clean water, good schools, and worker rights for all Virginians. And I want to take a moment here to elevate the Brown Grove community right here in Hanover County. I am sure you all know that Brown Grove is a 150-year-old historically Black community right here in Hanover County, and they are standing up and fighting a proposed wetlands distribution center that might destroy their community forever. It is very important that we get out the word about their fight so that more people know this is happening. So they are holding a Zoom town hall, and I'm not sure if the president of the NAACP is here with us tonight and this morning, sorry, and she may want to provide an update. But there's a town hall on Monday at 2 p.m. with the League of Conservation Voters and Chesapeake Climate Action Network. And I would like to invite you all to join and learn more. So I'm James, who is my campaign manager. He's gonna drop the link in the chat here. The State Water Board may also take up this issue at its February 26th meeting. So if you want to speak, it is a virtual meeting. You need to sign up to speak by February 23rd if you want to speak against it. So those both links are going to be dropped in the chat. And I want to tell you about another fight you should know about that I'm working with the people of Buckingham County, which is the home of the historically Black Union Hill neighborhood, to pass a moratorium on gold mining so that we can do a study on its impacts on the environment and public health. The bill passed the House with every Democratic vote, but the Senate just stripped out the moratorium. Without the moratorium, we cannot save Buckingham County. So now I'm gonna have to reject that amendment, and then I have to go to conference to defend that moratorium. So I'm hopeful that we can work something out as we continue to move that bill through the legislative process. It's gonna be heard in finance next week. So this is an issue that you care about, protecting the environment and having preventive measures, because before we get into gold mining, I would love for you to sign up and provide your support. There is another important fight also that you're probably watching, as my paid sick days bill for essential workers, which has passed the House and which I expect to be taken up at the Senate Commerce and Labor the next week. So if you agree with me that our essential workers should not have to choose between their health and a paycheck, then I would ask you to call every single Democrat senator on that Committee of Commerce and Labor and tell them that we must pass this bill. And the House is allocating, $3.5 million to provide this benefit to essential workers on the state that don't have any benefits. And I think that we have allocated the money, so we should continue to fight in the Senate. And before I close, I wanted to name that there has been a lot of frustration when it comes to the COVID vaccine and when you can receive it. And I wanted you to know that as a member of the Health, Welfare, and Institutions Committee, I am fighting to make sure Virginians in every part of the state are getting fair and equal access to the vaccine to protect themselves and their communities so that no one is behind. And I will close by saying that if you want to do something that's never been done before, which is to elect a woman and a woman of color as your next LG, then we need to build something that's never been built before. We need to build a new coalition across Virginia of women and young people and seniors, people of color and immigrants and workers and rural voters and progressives. And I hope you are with us because we have so much work to do. We need to recover from this pandemic, achieve racial justice, get healthcare and broadband for all, raise teacher pay to be competitive, and build the best public school in the system, in the country for all children, no matter what their zip code is. We have to tackle the opioid crisis and climate emergency and build a Virginia that is not only #1 for business, but also for workers. As we are collecting signatures right now, also James, and we can do it now electronically. If you would like to sign up to fill out our electronic petition, it's gonna be available in the chat as well. But I'm glad to be back. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Delegate Gooseman. If there are other candidates, I'm going to have to hold off because we went a little overtime. I want to give a quick moment for our men's forum and our women's coffee. So starting with our women's coffee, Diane, do you want to give us an update?
Yes, took me a minute to get unmuted. We have been having really good coffee meetings in the COVID, and we're looking forward to having Faith Pritchard talk to us this coming Thursday. That's February the 18th at 7 p.m. It's by Zoom, of course, and I'll be sending out the Zoom contact and a reminder to all the women on our list to join us. We really hope you'll come. Faye's not only our only Democratic member of the Board of Supervisors, but she's also a member of the Health Board. And so she'll have a lot of good information for us. And we just have a good time being together anyway. If your name is not on our contact list, please send it to me. I'm at D.A. Neergaard, Neergaard, at Comcast.net, and love to have everybody who would like to come.
Thank you. And Men's Forum, Don Barth or Chance Lee?
Men's Forum is Wednesday evening, the 24th of February at 7 o'clock, of course, virtual by Zoom. Morgan Goodman will be updating us what's going on in the General Assembly. It was originally scheduled, the General Assembly was originally scheduled to close several days after that, but it's been extended though. So she'll have a lot of information for us. Again, Wednesday, the 24th of February at 7 o'clock, Morgan Goodman will talk about the General Assembly.
Thank you. And Jamie, if you're still with us, do you want to give us, I know you have a lot to share with the school board and the Board of Supervisors.
Yeah, I'll try to be quick. So it's budget season. So there's a lot of budget activity going on both at the school board level and the Board of Supervisors level. One of the big items on the school board's or in the school board's budget is a decision to commit additional resources to the online school. The county administration is thinking about extending it beyond this current school year, but of course that would take resources out of the face-to-face environment. So there's been a lot of discussion about whether or not that's needed. Additionally, and I put it in the chat as well, the school board heard a recommendation on Tuesday night to move the International Baccalaureate Diploma Program only to one high school. So that would be a huge disadvantage to students in the other high schools in the county. Of course, each high school currently has the IB program. The high schools that have the highest percentage of minority students, Mechanicsville and Patrick Henry, neither one of those schools were selected as the location for the IB program. So there's certainly going to be diversity concerns with that plan, among other various issues with that plan. So if you have any questions or would like to help get the school board to deny that plan, please reach out. And the overall county budget was presented on Wednesday to the Board of Supervisors. They've got about 2 months between now and when they vote on it. So they're obviously going to be hearing public comment between now and then. If you have any questions about what was presented, please reach out to me. I put my phone number and email address in the chat. I've been tracking those items closely. So again, the big item that I want everybody to help with over the next couple of weeks is this IB program idea that the school board is hearing on. So please reach out if you want to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. I appreciate that. I especially like the Jamie and Jennifer sign in the back. That's awesome. And then, so we have some new members to vote in. And so we have application from Sarah Sams and for Peter Ham. Do I have a motion from the floor?
So move.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, like way. All right, so I see nothing new. I'm going to go ahead and